community transit in Snohomish County, Washington, you're listening to That Transit Show. I'm your host, Monica Spain. Every month, we bring you the voices behind the scenes, the people who help you get from where you are to where you want to be. Welcome aboard. Today on the show, we're talking about how to weave transit into your everyday life with Community Transit's Phillip Jefferies. He's the marketing programs manager here who has a knack for helping people discover transit in Snohomish County. Phillip Jefferies, welcome to That Transit Show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You know, one of the reasons I was excited to interview you, Phillip, is because I think of all the people I know at the agency, you have a really interesting kind of path in terms of being a writer, your career path. You started as a bus driver. We'll get into that in a few minutes and hear a little bit about that. But right now, your main role, and I'll let you describe it, but I think your job is to really help more people learn how to use transit.
Yeah, I lead our marketing programs teams here at Community Transit. And what that really means is we work with groups, we work with organizations, we work with individual people, all with the idea of helping them become comfortable using transit to get started if they've never ridden transit before, and ultimately become ongoing confident riders. And we try to help them overcome barriers that people find as blockers that prevent them from starting, and make it really easy for them to transition into independent riders.
It sounds like such a simple thing, really. But, you know, for a lot of people, transit is maybe something they've done for commuting, maybe not for other things. And I know that one of your goals is to help people kind of expand their view of what transit can be used for. Take me back to how you became a transit user and what brought you to community transit.
Yeah, I mean, I was at a point in my life where I was interested in career change, and I had always seen the buses driving around and thought that looked like a cool job, right? I'd always been interested in it. And so when I started seriously thinking about what else can I do in my career, it was really appealing to me, the idea of earning a good living for my family, but also serving the community and doing something, frankly, that sounded fun. And as I got into it, transit just checked those boxes. It resonated really nicely with me. And so I applied for the job and was very fortunate to get it. I became a community transit coach operator in 2014 and did that for 3 years before I had the opportunity to move into our marketing program, and have been here ever since.
Before you moved over to community transit, were you using the bus to get to and from work? You had said you changed careers.
Yeah. Not as much as I wanted to. I had always been interested in having that kind of job where there was a traditional or stable report time and end time, and you could figure out your transit commute. But the kind of work I had, I was making sales calls, I was driving around to places all throughout the day. And so I was always kind of jealous of people that were able to have a transit commute and maybe even not have that second car for that purpose. And so that's probably some of the thinking that originally led me to exploring transit and being interested to what would life working as a driver be like.
But it was you wanted to take transit, and then you jumped all the way to driving a bus. That from being a salesperson, that's a huge difference.
It was really different. And I mean, I wasn't sure at first. It's kind of intimidating at first. But what I found at Community Transit is the training lasts, I think more than 6 weeks. And by the time you're done with it, you're really prepared. You've driven every route. My car before coming here was a Ford Ranger. So not only was I only just a regular driver, but I was a regular driver of a kind of smaller vehicle. And driving the bus could have been a hard transition, but the training department here made it easy, and I was able to be successful at it. And I can't even tell you how many people along the way since then that I've recommended. And I always talk about how that was one of the most fun jobs I ever had. you meet so many people. You're kind of interwoven in the fabric of the communities where you work. No day is ever the same as the day before. And for me, it worked out great in that sense, and also in the sense of it led to other opportunities here at Community Transit to take my career ultimately in a different direction.
So, but did you get that commute then that you had been kind of wishing for, taking the bus to work as a driver?
Not as a driver.
Yeah.
You're oftentimes having to drive the first bus out or the last bus in. And so our drivers actually, a lot of them, don't have that opportunity to use transit for work. But we do get an Orca card as part of working here, like a lot of employees around the Puget Sound area do. And what you do find as a driver is you become very familiar with how it all fits together. You become an expert. And so when it's your day off, that's still a real opportunity to use your Orca card to get around and to enjoy events and things to do in the Puget Sound area using your Orca card and the transit knowledge that you gain on the job.
Well, I think a lot of people think about taking the bus to and from work and don't think they want to get on the bus over the weekend. Or maybe they don't take the bus and they haven't really thought about using it kind of in their everyday life for other things. So I'm wondering how you help people in your current job.
Yeah.
How do you help people make that leap?
Yeah, well, part of my current job and part of what our team does is we work with employers who want to offer Orca cards to their staff, and we do orientation meetings with teams of people as they're joining the Orca for Business program, and that's one of the key things we tell them is that your employer is providing you this Orca card, but it's not just a commuter benefit. It's a benefit for you to use in your everyday life. And for a lot of people, using transit to get to and from work is logical and convenient, and it works for them. And a lot of the transit service is designed to work that way. But for some people, it doesn't. They live in places or work in places where it's just not a efficient trip for them. But that doesn't mean it's still not a great benefit. And so we talk about taking the Sounder train to downtown for Mariners games and Seahawks games. We talk about the light rail service that comes all the way up to Linwood now, and all the places you can go from the airport to the University of Washington campus to Capitol Hill and the downtown stations, and just all the ways that transit can help them live a better life here in the Puget Sound area, even if it's not for going to work.
Well, I know you well enough to know that you are somebody who not only sells this idea, if you could call it selling, but you definitely walk the talk. I want to hear how that works in your life, and just so we can give people maybe some ideas of things that they hadn't thought of. What are some things that you've done, but using the bus that maybe other people are using their car to do?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing I would say is do consider your work commute. I live in Monroe, which is kind of an outlying area in the map of Snohomish County.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoy the opportunity to take the bus into Everett and then on to Community Transit. We're here in the Seaway kind of Boeing area here. And that's actually one of my favorite parts of the day. I do my Wordle. Yeah, absolutely. I do my Wordle and my mini crossword with my family and listen to my favorite podcast and just all of that kind of stuff that I wouldn't be able to do if I was having to concentrate on driving myself in.
Yeah.
And then sometimes something that I tell people to do is so many of us have these activity goals, these fitness goals.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right. And using your commute, for me, time spent on the treadmill or in the gym on like the exercise bikes and stuff like that is really slow time versus if you combine your bike with your work commute, it can actually be really fun and fit into your day. So I'll oftentimes, even though we do have bus service between here and Everett Station, I'll get on my bike and I'll use the interurban trail, which has a pretty good pathway to the Everett Station area. and then I'll just take the bus to Monroe from there. So I'm getting my bike ride in, I'm getting my bus commute to Monroe in, and then I can go ahead and bike the rest of the way from my house once I get there.
Okay, I actually didn't know this part. This is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the lesson is it doesn't have to be a door-to-door thing. It can meet the way you want to use it. And when you think about your trip in little segments, you can decide, do I want to get some walking in? Do I want to get some biking in? Do I want to do bus commute the whole way kind of door to door? Do I want to drive to a park and ride first? All these options. And I think people just might put an address here to there in Trip Planner. And that's one result that you could use, but there's lots of ways to figure out an active commute that kind of helps you hit your lifestyle goals. And so I encourage people to look at that, but then I also encourage people, look at the places you go with your family, with out-of-town guests. Look at, we at my household, we love going to the musical theater in downtown Seattle, right? And you end up down there once a month or so. And so we have, depending on what we have going on that day, we might take the bus the whole way. We might drive to Linwood City Center Station, but transit is almost always a part of it, because if you're going into downtown Seattle, it solves so many problems.
Yeah, tell me, what problems do you feel like it solves for you?
Well, I mean, for me, like, I've been a bus driver. I'm a professional driver in some ways, so I'm really comfortable driving on the freeway and all that. But once you get into Seattle, like, some streets are one way. There's complicated intersections. You're figuring out where you're going to park, and is where I'm leaving my car a good spot to leave it. There's this.
How much is that going to cost?
You're paying money to park. So I find that if I just pop out of the station on the light rail, all of that is taken care of for me, and I've had more relaxing experience traveling down there on the light rail, and I'm just not worried about where my car is. And then if I maybe want to go somewhere after that, like, there's this vegetarian restaurant we love in Madison Park.
Oh, okay. I think I know the one.
Yeah, it's very.
I don't know if we should name drop it or not. There might be a long wait to get in there. Is it Cafe Flora?
It's Cafe Flora.
Yes.
We love going to Cafe Flora. So, if we had our car, we'd get it out of parking and have to get back down there and find a new place to park and all of that.
But now you're getting on the G line.
Now we're just getting on the G line. Yeah, and it works great. And so it all just comes down to, maybe the first time you try it, you're a little unsure, a little unconfident about what buses go where, but there's tools out there to figure all of that out. There's teams like mine, which will actually help you on a person-to-person level. And if you can just overcome that initial resistance or initial lack of confidence, it just opens up this whole world of convenience and affordability that we who work here at Community Transit feel so strongly about wanting to provide to our community.
Yeah, and I feel like I want to be sensitive to the fact that, like, yeah, you and I know how to do this, but other people might be curious and not really know where to start. You mentioned tools. Maybe we should, let's just mention a few of them, and then talk about the ways people can get engaged with your team if they want to do sort of something more and really explore this, so that they don't feel like, okay, I'm out on my own trying to figure this out.
Absolutely. As far as tools go, there's a lot. We at Community Transit offer some through our website that you can access directly, but there's also, for people like who use apps on their phone, the main mapping apps, Google Maps, Apple Maps, they have transit navigation built right into them. You just change the tab from driving to transit and put in where you want to go, and it'll help you get there. We also have a Find My Bus, which I use every day at work still. I know my route very well. I don't need help figuring out what bus to take, but Find My Bus, you can pull it up and it's going to give you a real-time countdown for when is the bus coming by the stop. And so that helps me know when it's time to pack up.
Yeah.
When it's time to pack up at my desk and start walking out to the bus stop. So we have these tools, and I would say for connecting with them, of course, we have customer service here at Community Transit, where you can give us a call, and there's people standing by to answer questions about how to get started. And then we also, through my team, we love to go out and speak to groups. We go to YMCAs and senior centers and church groups and residential communities, you name it. If there's a few people together, we can come out, do a little presentation about what all the different transit is in an area. We will oftentimes help people enroll for reduced fares that they may qualify for. We have reduced fares for seniors and youth and people with disabilities, households with lower incomes. So we can help people get connected with those types of tools, get an ORCA card. And usually we're able to bring a bus out and help people kind of get familiar with it. We love to take people down to the Linwood City Center station so they can get a feel for, this is where the bus drops off. This is where you walk to get on to the light rail. Use your new ORCA card we just gave you to tap onto the light rail. And so we really try to help people get their bearings and overcome that initial barrier to entry.
Yeah, and I think light rail at Linwood is a really good example of driving there is tricky. Parking is not usually available after a certain hour in the morning, but you can take the bus to light rail if you live in Snohomish County. And I think that that's something that maybe people aren't thinking about. They're thinking like, I'm going to drive to Linwood City Center. I'm going to park my car and I'm going to get on light rail. But I mean, if we're being honest, there are other options that might be easier to explore.
Yeah, and that can come down to working with our customer service to help navigate what those are. For light rail specifically, what I've had to do in my own life is if I'm not taking the bus all the way from home, parking at Ashway Park and Ride, I've just found to be very low hassle, very convenient, and there's lots of buses that travel along the freeway that just make a quick connection between Ashway and Linwood City Center Station, and that helps me find a parking place. Versus at Linwood, you're right, later in the morning into the afternoon, especially if there's big sports events, stuff like that going on downtown, there's just only so much parking available, and it's nice to have kind of a more guaranteed choice.
Yeah, we have a whole page on our website about park and rides that people can explore, so we'll be sure to point people there. But I mean, again, I want to be honest, what are the things that people should prepare for? Because you talked about going downtown Seattle to go to a musical, but we don't have a ton of late night service. Sound Transit service runs later than community transit service. How do people plan for that, navigate that? What do you do about that?
Well, we do matinees. I've hit a point in my life where a matinee makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
But your question's well taken.
But that is part of planning too. I mean, if you want to use transit, think about the times that you're going to be going and plan for that.
Yes. I mean, all of the schedules are available online. And so that's part of figuring out what are the transit trips in your life that make sense to be transit trips versus car trips, right? I will say that it also depends on where you live. I live in Monroe, so I have fewer options because there's just more connections involved in getting from the light rail to out there. But along like where Swift Orange Line runs, it connects directly to light rail at Linwood. You can get there later and still make it home. So it just depends on kind of knowing what your plan is and then checking if transit is an option for it. And if it is, go for it.
We talked about the idea that you get to see more or do more while you're on the bus. And I'm wondering how that has translated to maybe seeing more of your environment, more around you by taking transit. What have you found that there's like little detours that you might not have come across if you had been driving?
Absolutely. And I guess I can point to, it's really fun if you find yourself on the light rail. A lot of times the traffic on I-5 will be stopped, and there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from just kind of coasting by all of that.
Sure.
And one thing, what I found with light rail, it's been such a treat for it. It arrived in Snohomish County in 2024. We at Community Transit reworked our bus connections so that so many of our routes connect directly or easily to light rail. And we've done what we can do to make it very accessible to everyone. And so I've had a lot of fun considering Seattle destinations kind of back on the table for me. It's more accessible than it was before, right? Because I didn't really want to drive down there and go down there that much, being less familiar with it. So something we've discovered that we like to do is the light rail makes it very easy to pop up in different neighborhoods. And just like we talked about Cafe Flora, you become free from how am I going to get back to my car? How am I going to move my car? Am I going to have to pay for parking again? And it just becomes a simple exercise of let's get off here in the U District and let's walk through campus and just enjoy. We did this spring with the cherry tree, the cherry blossoms, right?
Oh, wow.
And just kind of took it in, enjoyed it, and then got on at the station on the other end of campus by Husky Stadium and just continued our journey downtown. And it was like a 30-minute detour that I tend to doubt we would have done, had we been driving in our car and had to figure all of that out. Yeah. And so it's just, people I think feel like, well, I have to deal with a schedule and stuff like that when I'm taking transit. But the other side of it is you kind of have complete freedom to just do whatever you want to do. And you kind of learn how to work with the schedule to make your trip better. But really there's also stuff here right in Snohomish County that I think maybe people don't think about. We just, for instance, the city of Edmonds, community transit has a lot of service into the city of Edmonds, and something that we did recently was they have a wine walk where you kind of pay one little fee, and you can go to all these small businesses and art galleries, and they have little tasting stations set up. And we spent the whole early evening down there a couple months ago, and it was so nice and made perfect sense that we were planning to take transit back. And so we had that safe ride home, standing by, and we're able to enjoy this wine walk, without having to be super worried about how are we going to get home.
Yeah. So with it being summer, kids ride free. And so that's another opportunity for people to have some independence. And I know that the youth program also comes out of your group. Yeah. What do you hear when you're talking to those populations? Like, what are some other things? Like, we're talking about wine, but there's lots of other things for people to do.
Right. I mean, what I can say about Youth Ride Free and what a game changer it's been for families is I have the opportunity to talk to a lot of customers now in my role. But I also saw a lot when I was a driver. And families back then, I think it was if they were 5 years old or more, there was a youth fare that they had to pay. And so a simple family trip to a place like Alderwood Mall really might not have made sense for a family by the time they paid their own fare and then paid for all their kids. And it's just a short trip, to the mall, and then they might have to pay again coming back. But with Youth Ride Free, it changes the economics of little day trip type things that families can do together. If you have an adult with an Orca pass already through their job, Youth Ride Free, transit suddenly becomes a no-brainer as far as places like Alderwood Mall. We know a lot of families enjoy going to the Mukilteo Beach. There's less free parking available down there at Lighthouse Park anymore. And so that's a great accessible destination from transit, as well as we see skate parks, all sorts of places. Willis Tucker Park is a great destination for people to go as a family, taking advantage of the free youth fares, adult Orca cards, and having transit be a really economical kind of replacement of loading into the family car.
Yeah. What do you think, like, even for you, when you first started taking transit as much as you do, what kinds of, I don't know, mental hurdles or other kinds of just physical things, like what do I need to pack? Do you feel like what are those things that you think might have held you back?
Yeah. The biggest thing that holds us back still is we like to go places with our dog. We have a dog about 16 pounds, and we like to go to Green Lake, for example, and take a walk around the lake, right? And to ride
What kind of dog do you have?
it's ambiguous. It was a rescue. But like a well-behaved little dog. But the rule on the transit is a muzzle or in a container in a
So
carrier.
community transit.
Yeah, for community transit. And so, we've thought we're not really wanting to deal with having a carrying case once we arrive at Green Lake.
Sure.
So things like that can be an issue.
Yeah.
There's talk in my house sometimes about the schedule, and if you live in a more outlying area, the bus may come less often. And so planning on that, how willing you are to plan on that can be a barrier. But when it comes to service on like our Swift network area, buses are coming all the time. And so that's just going to be different family by family and destination by destination. And it's something that it'll be a decision factor in how well transit works for a specific trip you might want to do.
Well, it sounds like it's worth exploring what the options are. And we even have an option for one-on-one travel training.
Yeah, we have people, if talking to someone on the phone by itself isn't all the support someone needs to get started, we are very happy to work with someone more one-on-one, either through Zoom calls or through meeting in person. And something we do a lot through our travel training program is they'll identify somewhere that you want to go, a real trip that you want to take, and they'll plan to ride that trip with you so that the first time you go, you're not on your own. You kind of have a transit pro with you, showing you the ropes, answering any questions that come up, making sure you don't get off track in your trip, so that in the future, when you need to take that trip again, you've done it before and you're confident in your ability to get where you need to go. And that is something that we're happy to do. We provide it just so that people know that the transit that's out there is for them. It's accessible to them. We want to give the helping hand to help someone go from driving alone to giving transit a try, and are happy to do that.
We talked about destinations that you enjoy going to and some that you saw families going to when you were a bus driver, coach operator. What other destinations do you think people should be considering that maybe they're not?
I think the events that happen at Angel of the Winds Arena in Everett are a good kind of transit destination. Swift Blue Line, which is one of our very frequent routes, it stops at Wetmore and Colby area there by the Snohomish County courthouse area.
Civic complex. Yeah,
the Civic complex. And so it's just a walk through that complex area to get to the arena. And so whether it's a Silvertips game, there's community skate night. When we lived in Bothell especially, we would park at Ashway Park and Ride, and we would take routes 201 and 202, which also stop in front of the arena there. And that was how we attended Silvertips games. So that's a big one that I think people may not think about, but there's paid parking down there. There's timed parking on the streets. It's a great type of high congestion situation where it really does help everyone if people who can take transit do. And it's kind of an opportunity to mix it up with other fans that are coming through to enjoy the game. And for us, I feel like it kind of added another element of fun to going to the hockey games.
Do you meet people who are kind of in your shoes, like going places when you take these trips different?
Meet people. You see the people in their Silvertips gear sometimes. I try to. I'm a little bit more of a stay to myself bus rider.
That's okay.
with my earbuds in sometimes. But it's just a different environment, and it's another one where my car's not parked downtown for hours on end. I'm not paying to park in a garage, and it's right there. The bus is right there, so why not?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Besides light rail and taking the bus to light rail, what other options could people consider for just a day, just maybe a day trip?
Actually, one of my favorites, and I think it's little known. We always talk about it to our Orca for business clients that we're onboarding is don't forget about the Sounder train. We have Sounder inline service. It travels from Everett Station. It stops at Mukilteo Station, Edmond Station, and then downtown Seattle. And it travels along the waterfront, along the main railroad tracks there. And your Orca card will allow you to board, just like with light rail. You just tap before you get on. And they run not only commuter service during the week, but they will run special service for Sunday Mariners games. They run it for Seahawks games and certain other events. Their rider alerts will keep people aware of when those are happening. But we tell people, you don't even have to go to the Mariners game. If you'd like to spend a Sunday afternoon in Seattle visiting the waterfront and the sites, you can take the Sounder train down there, and you can just know that it leaves about 45 minutes after the game ends. And if that doesn't work for your timing, you can always take the light rail just right back up when you're ready. It's kind of like the old style train, passenger train experience, bigger cars with nice amenities. That I try to take out of town guests if we go to a Mariner game.
Sounds like kind of a retro
I try to make sure. Yeah. It's retro, and it's a great benefit that you get with an employee Orca card or a very reasonable cash fare if you're paying cash with the Orca card.
Yeah.
That's worth it.
Phillip, thanks for all these ideas. I love it. Thanks for being on that transit show and sharing some of your experiences with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
This has been That Transit Show from Community Transit. Be sure to subscribe and follow That Transit Show and listen wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Monica Spain. Thanks for being here. We'll see you at our next stop.